Colin, what's your topic?
So today, people aren't going to see this for over a week if they're watching on YouTube. But today, the site Ashley Madison was hacked, and Ashley Madison is a website, a website of ill repute to some people that is designed to facilitate the cheating on spouses, like without, I don't want to say without repercussions, but kind of doing it discreetly. So you're basically you're looking for people that are looking to cheat on their spouses, and you're cheating on your spouse, and you like set up a rendezvous. So it's like a dating site with, a kind of a more...
The prerequisite is being married.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, that's what my assumption is. Anyway, I want to talk about a grander thing because so this website was hacked, and these hackers claim to have, and by now maybe this has already settled itself out in some way or another, but that's not really the point. The hackers claim to have 37 million people's information, like names, credit card information, and stuff. And what's really damaging, unlike other websites like where a healthcare provider gets hacked and they have your social security number or something, these are all tragic things. What's interesting here is that this is a hack in which people are being held ransom for their impropriety and their immorality. And I was curious what you guys think about the site existing, because I remember this site being a big deal a few years ago when it came out. And B, what you think about the celebratory nature of some people on the internet today, and a lot of people on the internet that are like egging this on and want these people to pay and stuff like that. And I tweeted out this morning that on one hand, you live by the sword and you die by the sword, right? Like, if you're going to do this kind of thing, then it's almost poetic in a way that you would be outed in some spectacle, right? But I then tweeted and I said, I know this is not going to be a popular point of view, but I just don't think these people deserve this. And it's mostly because it's no one's business that this is happening. Like, they're not doing anything illegal. They're not breaking any laws or committing any crimes. They're not stealing. They're not murdering. They're not assaulting. These are consensual adults that are breaking the vows of marriage, but we cannot police immorality. And so I'm curious, like, what your guys' take is on this situation, because I don't. It's weird for me to feel bad for people that possibly might get outed for being immoral, but you can't do this to people. You know what I mean? I just don't. Yeah, I don't like. Everyone has skeletons in their closet. Everyone, and they're not necessarily awful things, but there's just things about you or about your sexual life or all these things that you don't want people to know, and it's no one's business. You know what I mean? And so I don't personally celebrate the culture of just fucking raising, and I mean razing, of raising the internet and just like burning everything to the ground and fucking just embarrassing anyone you can and outing anyone you can and just random fucking people that did nothing to you. Like, so what's your take on the website existing, Ashley Madison, and B, what do you think about these people kind of being held hostage by this hacker group?
But that's my thing, is the thing that I always find fascinating about this is the same thing with what happened when all the cell phone pictures came out of all the celebrities, right? Which is the dialogue always seems to be about whether or not they should store these pictures or send these pictures to each other, and it's more about that and less about why are we not trying to figure out and go after the people that have broken federal laws.
Why
to
are we
hack into
condemning the
servers.
celebrity and not the person who broke the law?
Like, at the end of the day, if it's a legal site and you choose to use it, sure, it's immoral, but if there's no law being broken, like, you can't be prosecuted. The question is more, why is it okay that people are allowed to hack into a private business and screw with its clientele and get away with it? Because I'm like, have they caught those people from the cell phone pics yet? Like, has anything been done with that? Is it just we know? Like, we don't hear about that.
I think they did. I think I think someone got arrested for that.
I hope so. It's just one of those things, like, that always makes me a little sad about society today, where, we live in a country where whether or not you're moral or immoral, you're still protected by the law. And that doesn't necessarily always transfer over to the court of public opinion, where people just decide that you're guilty because you've done an impropriety, and that you deserved your privacy. You deserve to allow someone else to break a law so that you could be shown for what you are, which that when you start going down that road, it really represents the fundamental decline of modern civilization. You cannot let that happen. Like, sorry, we are protected by laws. Whether or not we decide to do ridiculously disgusting and immoral things, as long as we're not hurting anyone else or breaking the law, we are allowed to do that in this country. That's what makes that is one of the great things that makes this country amazing. So I think it's always. It's a little sad when you hear those stories, because the second you see that, you're like, no one's going to talk about the guys that are going to get arrested 7 months for this after the FBI figures out who they are. They're just going to talk about the one guy that may or may not have had the consent of his wife to go on this website and do this, or might have just been single and looking for someone to go on this website and hang out with or have sex with or have some whatever sort of relationship he wants to have behind closed doors.
I don't think that's true, though. I mean, I feel like there's like a lot of emphasis put on the people doing this and it being wrong.
Sure,
like, always.
But that doesn't make news when they get arrested, obviously.
But
right?
it does.
What makes more news is that we had no idea if those people from the celebrity picks
no,
got.
but I mean,
got arrested.
I remember seeing stuff like that, and like there was so much articles about all that
Sure.
stuff. Like it does make news. Like that is.
It's
the
not
news.
as big a news, and it's not as big a news. Like, why is it even something to be debated? Like, it's wrong that people got their personal information put out there. That they.
Well, I don't think there's a debate.
Well,
right?
we're debating it right now. There is a debate. There are people saying that these guys should be
Today
burned.
there is, but to Tim's point, I think what Tim's kind of getting at is that there's an imbalance between a situational imbalance that I don't think is uneven. And what's ironic about it, and we talked about it today on Colin and Greg Live, is that what Gawker did last week when they outed that the CFO of Condé Nast and were completely complicit in his blackmailing and protected their source and outed this family dude out of context, a guy who, by the way, denied that this shit ever even happened. They just published a story anyway. Everyone almost unanimously was up in arms about the way they treated that guy, right? They just found a random person who is not a public figure. He's not a politician. He's not a guy who's out there being like, I'm against blah, 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 and I'm for family values.
Right.
And they caught him doing this shit. He's just some dude, right? Who happens to be a CFO, and he's probably rich, and who cares? But they found him, and they possibly ruined him. Right? And there's real life consequences for that man now, regardless, always, forever. Whenever anyone Googles his name, it's over for him, in that regard. And everyone was unanimously, rightfully so, upset about that. And then I wake up today, and it's not everyone, because a lot of people are, there's a split, but people are like, fuck these guys, and they deserve to be outed and stuff. I'm like, whoa, what is the difference here? There's no difference.
Yeah, there really isn't.
Like, there's no difference here. These people went to a website where they thought they were protected, and to your point, we don't know the individual stories of everyone. I'm sure there are some fucking scumbags out there.
I'm sure there's guys with 10 kids who have 3 families who are getting in there trying to do horrible things and offering women money for sex. Like, that's deplorable, and sure, and I don't agree with that, and I hope people don't choose to do that, but it's still legal.
Exactly. And to that point, I even went a step further and I said, this for a person who's not on the internet or like doesn't have an internet presence, but their name's out there now associated with Ashley Madison, and this is so people are going to associate these things forever. I'm like, is it really right to color a random person on this site who might be cheating on his wife or she's cheating on her husband or whatever's going on? Is it really right to paint that person in that light only, as if they've done nothing else with their lives? I know people that have cheated on other people, and I know people that have been cheated on. Yeah. And I know that on both sides of those things there are victims, and it's wrong and it's fucked up. It's a fucked up situation. It's awful. But I know people that have done that stuff that are actually good people.
Yeah, it's not black and white.
And they make like a bad mistake or they make a bad choice. And I just feel like this is almost zero-sum game of like, well, the internet's gonna fucking get you now.
Well, it's a witch
I don't
hunt,
like
right?
that shit. It's awful. It's an awful thing. You can't. I cited all earlier with like live by the sword, but die by the sword, which is a biblical thing. And there's another biblical saying, which is he who is without sin cast the first stone, right? Like as in which basically means like, if you feel like you can judge this person, then fucking do it, but you better be without sin yourself. And everyone, not that I'm a biblical person or a religious person, but I do believe you can find a lot of morality, especially in the New Testament, and that resonates with me. Like I said, we all have things that we don't want people to know about us that are not necessarily bad or wrong. They're just embarrassing, or they're whatever
they're
they
not
are.
commonly
They're
upheld as okay.
Yeah, or they're
society,
just
sure.
it's just
Or you just don't want them out there.
Yeah, it's personal. It's just personal.
Yeah.
And think about. There's 37 million people that have used the site or
37 million. You said that number earlier, and like, holy shit.
So not cumulative right now, but 37 million over the time, right? And
that's still insane.
It is insane, but like, there's people that have probably lapsed in their marriage and got back together. There's probably someone on there that cheated on their old spouse and are with someone new now, and they're going to get outed.
Sure.
There's like, it's going to cause massive complications. Why do people want to cause fucking chaos? Because that's what it is. It's just fucking chaos.
Yeah.
And I like, why? And what's so weird about it to me is that the hackers are like, I was telling Greg this, the hackers, part of their manifesto, as far as I understand, is the site said that you could pay $19 to scrub yourself from the site completely. But in fact, they've been saving everyone's data anyway. And to punish the site, they're going to release those people's names. That's basically it. And they said the only way to stop it is if the site is erased from existence completely. I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, so because the website wasn't letting people to delete their information, even though the website had clearly no intent of releasing that information, you're going to steal it and release it.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, that just simply doesn't make any sense.
No, I mean,
that's just straight anarchy.
It's just anarchy. I mean, these people just derive a sense of fulfillment and pleasure from seeing other people, quote unquote, be punished for their indiscretions.
Well, and for them to get headlines and stuff.
Sure.
Like people are talking about them.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there's some sort of validation in this, right? And and it's unfortunate. And like, look, the sad thing is that people that have the intellect to be able to do this could do so much more with that talent. And you spend your nights and weekends trying to figure out how to hack a porn site or a hookup site. Do something better with it, man. Like, why? Again, it's what we always say here. Why live in the negative? What are you doing what are you trying to prove with this statement other than you know how to be really nasty and make someone's life terrible? And like, how's that going to make life ever better? How is that going to make the world better?
Yeah,
right?
It'd be really interesting to hear the people that did it, like why they did it. Because if their reason is like outing these people because they believe that that's wrong and think that.
What possible good reason could there be for doing it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is not a good reason. But I
Right.
mean, just like the reason they're doing it being like they believe that the adultery is wrong and like these people need to learn from, like, be punished for whatever. And it's if that's the reason they did it, it's like, man, that's scary. That's like some God complex shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's messed up, and then
mob mentality.
The hope is that they soon realize that hacking is illegal and they get to go to jail for a while.
So is it? I don't really just know the technicalities of all this stuff, but there's no legal ramifications of cheating on if you're married.
No, it's not against the law to cheat.
Okay.
Unless, I mean, the only
There's like a
ramifications
prenup or
if you have a
something like
prenup,
that.
then you'd be
Yeah,
liable
adultery
for that.
cheat.
And
Yeah.
you'd have to pay or do
Whatever
whatever
it
your
is.
prenup
But if there's no
stipulates.
prenup, then you're just mean.
You generally can't legislate morality, and we talked about that today too on Colin Moriarty, that there are total examples of us legislating morality, but generally you know, for instance, the Civil Rights Act, but like that's so there are certain examples and righteous, I think, right examples, but you can't go into someone's bedroom necessarily. I mean, it's the same example we use. It's kind of congruent with the idea of like, if two consenting adults want to get married regardless of their gender, let them get married. Who fucking cares? It's the same thing. Like, we can't legislate those kinds of things. That's just, we have to support that. And if someone wants to, you know, we have a 50% divorce rate in the United States. 47 million people have used this website. A lot of people are cheating. I'm sorry, 37 million people. A lot of people are cheating on their spouses, right, or on their significant others. It's an awful thing to do, but it's just the reality of, and I don't even say the modern world. This is as old as fucking relationships. So I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying it's right at all. I'm saying that, man, this is incredible. Like that people feel like they have the right to just inject themselves into people's private lives because, you know, even if, you know, I was talking to Cheryl about this actually, about something unrelated where I'm like, John F. Kennedy was having affairs and everyone knew. Everyone knew that. Like, it was fucking obvious, but no one reported on it. You know? Because it was like, well, like, what is that really? Why? Like, it was before sensationalist media, really. I mean, there's always been sensationalist media, but it's just like there was a line drawn in the sand. Same reason why people didn't necessarily generally take pictures of FDR below the waist, you know? Because, like, he was handicapped.
Right.
You know, he had polio and he couldn't really walk and he was in a wheelchair all the time. But they were like, well, what is that makes him look powerless and helpless and it makes us look weak, and that's not the story. The story is what the man's going to do. The man can still wield a pen and the man can still speak and orate. And so, like, what is the big deal? And I just feel like there's not enough respect for those kinds of things. Everyone's always kind of looking for a scandal, but they're not looking for the news, you know?
Right.
And the news would be, for instance, with the Condé Nast CFO, if he was a public figure that was openly advocating for the eradication of gay marriage and for family values, and then it comes out that he was soliciting a gay prostitute. That is a story.
Right.
But to just ransack a person's fucking life, you know,
Yeah.
who did nothing to you.
Which is, and by the way, I don't know the full specifics on this guy, but the fact that he has he chooses to go out there and have that experience does not necessarily mean that he's living in sin or hiding from that. You know, there's a lot.
It makes a lot of assumptions. Like,
It makes a
that his
lot
wife
of
didn't
assumptions.
know.
Like, his wife doesn't
Yeah.
know, and he's been gay all along, and he just got me. No, maybe that's true, or maybe that's just an experience that he wants to have once a month. You know, and his wife's like, "Go for it," because I can't give that to you because clearly I'm not gay. Like, I'm not a guy. You never know. It's unfortunate. It really is. Like, and Tim, to answer your question, I mean, I think there is certain court precedents where if you have cheated, then that gives you some sort of advantage or disadvantage in the actual divorce.
in civil suits.
In civil suits, but it's not against the law. So, for instance, a judge will be like, "Was there an impropriety?" Yes. Okay. Well, then, you know, I'm granting this person's because I think divorce has to be a mutually agreed upon decision. And so, oftentimes, if someone says, "Look, I think it's a statewide thing," I'm not quite sure. Hopefully, I'll never have to go through it. But I think in certain states, if there's an impropriety and the impropriety could be proven, then that has ramifications. But it's all civil. No one's going to jail. No one's paying. You're paying, but you're paying probably in alimony or something like that, or spousal support. Hopefully I never have to know. But luckily, I think I paid that $19. So my Ashley Madison is just
erased.
Scrubbed.
It's gone.
It's gone forever.
I always thought that what's funny is I've come across that site, and I think we all have. At some point, you've seen the logo. It's popped up at some point.
I saw, and this is what's interesting to me.
It's like a hot chick in like lingerie. And she's like, do you want to meet other people? And I'm like,
have you ever heard of this thing, Kevin?
Sure.
Really, man. All right.
It was a big story when it came out because a lot of people were like, what is the deal with this?" And
but I thought it was one of those. I thought it was just a dating site. Because it's one of those like ridiculous amounts of porn pop-ups that when you're searching porn on your PC, you're hoping to God doesn't have a virus, and then inevitably every 5 days I have to call Kevin and be like, Kevin, it happened again. Kevin, the computer's talking to me again. I think it's a bot, but it knows my zip code. But I've seen those. I've seen it, and I'm pretty sure I remember in my brain. I think it's a girl in like lingerie, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to meet other people?" And it's one of those things where you put in like, you always get maybe like 90% of the way through before they ask for your credit card, and you're like, nah, I'm not doing this. But apparently there's 37 million people that have. Well, just to see, like, I was like, oh, these are the people that you can see in your area. And you're like, well, I'll see what's going on there. This is back before I was married.
Maybe it's just a generation thing. I've never done that.
Well, you guys have
knew.
You guys have it different now, though. You guys, everyone has. You guys have tons of apps that you can just be like, I'll swipe to the right, and I see 30 chicks that I've worked with, and oh, look at that, that's them in a bikini. Oh, that's them wanting to hang up. Oh, I'm in their house right now. Oh God, am I hanging up?
God.
Here's the crazy thing about this is that about Ashley Madison specifically is that I remember so clearly when the website came out, and this must have been, it wasn't too long ago, like 3 or 4 years ago. I feel like maybe it wasn't. Maybe the time's a little off, but I remember that being a big story in the news cycle for a while about like, should this website exist and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, the market clearly demands it. Now the
same with it's the same to me as Craigslist, right? Where how is it any different than like escorts advertising on Craigslist or Backpage? The Backpage is the other one. Have you heard of this? Similar. It's the same thing, but it's like it's Craigslist. It's the thin veil of hey, you can get a job on this website, but then you click like personals, and it's escorts. It's basically an escort.
And it's them finding it's them saying like that. The ironic thing is that it's them saying like it's a safe place for a spouse, like people that are married, to find other people that are married or whatever, and just you can get away with it. And it sucks that like it sucks. I mean, it is what it is, but it sucks for them that their whole security has been broached. Like the companies, I'll be really interested to see if the company can even survive.
Probably
because
not.
What they're saying, so it's on Krebs on Security is the guy that I think broke the story, or one of the guys that wrote on it. And Krebs is a guy that used to write, I think still writes for the Washington Post, and he's an expert in online security. And he always, like when Target was hacked and all these things, like he's always the guy that has like all of this shit about it.
Right.
Really, really smart dude. And his website always comes up when bad shit like this happens. And he was saying, like, I think it was on the site, he was saying like they were preparing for a $200 million IPO this year. And I was like, oh my God. You probably heard the screams and cries out of that office of like all of the people that have been there for a while and we're all going to get a piece of that pie. Being like, fuck. Like
right.
we were so close.
And now we're going to be $300 million. They're going to go bankrupt.
Yeah, I think it's probably over for them. And it's.
Are you kidding me? If even one person has something bad happen to them because of that, there's going to be a huge class action.
But the ironic thing Krebs was saying was that their security is really good, and they have a guy. So they had these like internal surveys that they released. Like the hacker found all these internal surveys they were giving, and their director of security was like, "This is a big problem if this happens." Like he knew he's like what is the biggest concern of happening to Ashley, whatever the fuck it's called. And it was like if we're compromised, it's a huge fucking issue for us. But what they think is that someone that was like contracting or internal there like
figured it out and did it. But that's the same with any site, right? Like that's the same with any social media site, any site that's collecting mass amounts of data and has a quote unquote expectation of privacy behind those once you get behind those closed doors. What I have never been able to, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, and I don't judge people for doing this, but I have never been able to bring myself to put that credit card info in to any site like that before. Like even back in like the early 2000s when like hunting for porn on the internet was like Mad Max, where you were like water, like I found it and then someone's gonna charge for it. Maybe, I never felt the need to do that. So like I can't imagine. There's just some part of my brain that's so paranoid about that of like there being any sort of paper trail to the sick, twisted things that are in my brain. Even though I know that with beyond a shadow of a doubt, like easily people could discover the twisted shit that I've endeavored on.
But that's different though. I mean, I would never cheat on my wife, but if I was going to,
Like, why would you put your credit? You know,
I would not do it
don't do that.
at a
Like,
place
don't.
to cheat on your wife.
Anywhere,
Like,
where there's a click remember me button, like remember my information.
It's
Only
like-
thing
it's
that pops
the
up
same-
is
it's
on
just-
your credit card information and stuff like that.
It's the same with
like,
the
share on Facebook, share on Twitter.
Have you ever seen, like, you see all these massage parlors all around San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by these things because, like, they're still in business. People still go to them. The cops know about this. They know that these are like places where guys go to get sexual favors, yet they're still here. So what that tells me is that at any given point, if you go into one of those things, you might get arrested. So why would you do that? Like, maybe it's out of desperation, maybe it's out of loneliness. And I'm not judging,
thrill.
but get that part of your brain, get paranoid because it'll only serve you well, I think.
Yeah.
I'm reading Ashley Madison's Twitter account right now, and they've gone silent ever since they released their
Sure.
statement. But it's like, are stay-at-home dads more likely to cheat? And then they just have all these things globally. 39.4% of men and 40.9% of women watch porn 5 to 7 times a week. AshleyMadison.com is one of the largest dating sites. Where in Mexico are the cheating hotspots? And they have a map of all the places where people are cheating most.
Great.
What's
Are
the
women-
last tweet they've done? Like, here's our statement.
Oops. They have a statement.
My bad.
They have a statement from Avid Life Media, and then an update from Avid Life Media, and then another update actually that's kind of more recent. Let's see what it says.
We're giving into demands and closing down the site.
We were recently made aware of an attempt by our unauthorized party to gain access to our systems. We apologize for this unprovoked and criminal intrusion into our customers' information. Blah, blah, blah. At this time, we have been able to secure our sites and close the unauthorized access points. We are working with law enforcement agencies, blah, blah, blah. Contrary to current media reports and based on accusations posted online by a cybercriminal, the paid delete option offered by AshleyMadison.com does, in fact, remove all information related to a member's profile and communications activity. The process involves a hard delete of a requesting user's profile, including the removal of posted pictures and all messages sent to other systems users' email boxes. This option was developed due to specific members' requests for such a service and designed based on their feedback. As our customers' privacy is of the utmost concern to us, we are now offering our full delete option free to any member in light of today's news.
Too late now.
So they went from 37 million to one. The one dude that didn't get that email.
He's not checking his Twitter.
It's like, shit.
I'd be super interested to see what the activity on the site is today compared to a normal day, because they're probably getting hit a lot on the front, but then like on the back, are people logging in and still using it, or are they like, are people are freaking? This is the thing, is that there are millions of people out there that are freaking
37 million
the
people.
fuck out today.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. Like, are they bank robbers? Did they murder someone? Did they hurt someone? No, they hurt someone, but emotionally maybe. But like, no, they cheated on someone. It's like, and that's what I'm saying. Like now, like they feel like their whole world's crumbling, and do they deserve it? I think it's an open-ended question, but I think maybe probably not. Not as a collective group of 37 million people. Certainly not.
No, I mean, yeah, maybe, sure. I mean, again, you cannot bring deserve into it.
Yeah, deserve is
You
the
just
wrong
can't bring that
word.
into it. It's wrong what happened to these people. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what they're doing to their spouses. We can't judge that. You can't sit here and judge.
But the world loves a train wreck. I mean, that's the whole. That's
Sure.
why this is
That's
so
why-
popular.
that's what-
This is. I mean,
that's
this goes
why we
back
love
to.
you, Greg
Thank you.
Miller.
This goes back to Scarlet Letter. Yeah, scratch.
That's some scratches.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's not. It doesn't affect me. So fuck it. You know, make a bunch of funny tweets about it and do all this different stuff. Oh, a whole bunch of nude photos of these celebrities have leaked. Well, that's their fault for being hot and famous. I'll read them and look at them and not care. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
until you're on the receiving end and it's your personal privacy being horribly violated.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's okay.
It sucks. It's not
Yep.
okay. We should be better to each other than that.
That's the point. Yeah, we should be.
And if you've got, if there's something out there that you just don't agree with, just don't engage with it. You know,
That's the
similar to
thing.
how we're not
Yeah.
gonna ever, if I can ever, make this happen, ever take a United flight again. I just don't want. And I'm not saying that to be funny, my normal funny self, right, Kevin? Kevin is Carrie sleeping over there. I'm saying that's how you affect positive change. Is you don't engage with these things that you feel are wrong. That's the only way you can do it. You can't go out there. You can't. If you're gonna break a law to prove something's wrong, then you've lost.
Yeah.
You did the worst sin. Sorry. That's my opinion of it.
Okay.